Let's face it, reusable water bottles are amazing for many reasons, but they're also great at hiding bacteria and germs. So today, let's look at some bottles that have features designed specifically to make it easier to keep them clean. In this video, I'm only going to cover dual wall vacuum insulated stainless steel bottles because they're some of the more popular bottles in the market today. Links are in the description. Let's get started. Before we get to our list of bottles, let's start with some general guidelines and cleaning tips. Number 1, clean your bottle regularly. All the features in the world won't help you keep your bottle clean if you don't actually put in the work. It's also not a bad idea to invest in a cuppy, which is a silicone accessory that's essentially a drying rack for your bottle. Cheers to those folks for coming up with such a simple, useful product. Number 2, it helps to have a bottle brush kit and some Bottle Bright tablets. Brushes help clean the entire inside of your bottle more thoroughly, and the Bottle Bright tablets you may have seen on Shark Tank really do work well and are great to use for a deep clean every few weeks. Number 3, avoid using bleach. Yes, bleach would absolutely kill any bacteria in your bottle, but bleach can also damage certain bottles and make them more susceptible to corrosion. Just stick with warm soapy water, your bottle brush kit, and Bottle Bright tablets. Number 4, avoid straw lids. While convenient to use, straw lids are notorious for being harder to clean, especially at the pivot point around the spout. And number 5, take the mouth diameter into account when deciding what to buy. A tumbler style bottle like a Stanley has a much wider opening on top that will make it much easier to clean compared to a narrow mouth bottle. Now let's move on to some bottles and I'll give my overall recommendations at the end. First is Clean Canteen's TK Wide series bottles. Most bottles have threads on the exterior of the bottle and the interior of the lid. One problem this can create is on the lid, especially with bottles like Hydro Flasks. These bottles have extra insulation under the lid, and while that's great to keep your drink cool or hot, it makes it much more difficult to fully clean this area because it's such a tight space. However, some bottles reverse the threads. The benefit to internal threads on the bottle and external threads on the lid is that it's much easier to clean the threads on the lid in particular. It's also easier to take the seals on and off. Two examples include Clean Canteen's TK Wides and Yeti Ramblers. TK Wide bottles have one extra feature that places them above Yeti Ramblers, and that's the different thread pattern. Instead of a continuous spiraling metal or plastic thread on the bottle, they use a modified thread pattern called their TK Closure internal threads that consist of small metal bumps inside the rim. Clean Canteen says they improve thermal performance, but they also make it easier to clean because you don't have as many nooks and crannies as traditional threads. You could also skip threads altogether with Revomax because their bottle has a completely threadless design. The lid is easy to open and lock with one hand, and it still feels really secure even without the threads. The lid still needs to be cleaned regularly, but it can be disassembled fairly easily. One downside is that they only have narrow mouth bottles, so keep that in mind. Next, let's look at the seals, which are often overlooked but are good to include in your deep cleaning every few weeks. One design feature I wish more bottle manufacturers would incorporate is to add tabs into the seals. It's such a simple change that makes removing the seals so much easier for cleaning, and it amazes me that more bottles don't include this feature. A few that I'm aware of are Takea and EcoVessel, and for Yetis, this aftermarket lid that's modeled after Takea's amazing lids has a seal for the spout cap that also has a little pull tab. If you know of any other bottles like this, please comment below to let us and other viewers know. Now, we've talked about the threads and seals near the lid, but what about the inside of the bottle itself? Some bottles have removable bottoms, which is helpful so you can clean the inside from both sides. Two bottles that I know of with this feature are Zulu Ace and Tube. Zulu is certainly the more established brand on Amazon, but I kind of love the fact that Tube started as a Kickstarter. The main downside of the Zulu bottle is that there's a seal that's difficult to remove from the base cap, but if you get a brush kit that includes one of the smaller detailing brushes and use a cleaning tablets, you can usually keep this area pretty clean. What about filters? There are a ton of filter bottles and accessories to choose from at this point, and while they don't help clean your bottle, they do help clean the water that you'll drink. Few options include LifeStraw, Simple Modern, and Brita. I'm planning another post later this year where I'll compare different filter options, so I'll have much more info about this subgenre coming soon. Lark is a brand with a more high-tech solution to clean the inside of your bottle using a lid with a built-in UV light. Press the button to activate the UV light, then wait a few seconds for it to sanitize your water and the inside of your bottle. I mentioned before that we don't recommend using straw lids if you're concerned about cleaning, but if you're set on getting one, then Hydro Flask's Flex Straw is a good option. It has a removable silicone insert that makes it easier to clean more areas around and under the spout. Other good options include aftermarket lids that have this hinge on the spout, which lets you pull the spout up without touching the area where your mouth goes. Now I know people are going to ask me which bottle is the best. It's hard to beat the Lark bottle because UV light is proven to kill bacteria and viruses. Of course, that doesn't replace cleaning with a brush and bottle tablets, but it's an extra step to sanitize your water that the other bottles simply don't have. But for over $100 for the 25-ounce bottle, it's understandably outside of most people's price point. So for most people, Zulu Ace is probably the best choice. Being able to take off both sides of the bottle makes it so much easier to make sure you're cleaning the entire bottle thoroughly. So we'll give the nod to this one for anyone who prioritizes cleaning your bottle over everything else. But ultimately, I think you can make any of these bottles work if you use a good brush kit, cleaning tablets, and develop a habit of cleaning your bottle often. Now we just need someone to come out with a bottle that has a UV light, seals with pull tabs, easy to clean threads, and a detachable bottom. Here's a link to our most viewed video where we compared even more bottles, so check that out if you're still undecided and want to learn more about what's out there. Thanks for watching and happy hydrating.